Yeah, hi there. These comments are for AA, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the TOEFL online course, the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you're also one of my students over at California State University, San Bernardino, and you completed an independent writing practice test, number 1. And what I want to do now is go over your practice test and then give you a score so you can kind of see where you are right now. And you can also get some ideas on some things that you want to do to improve your writing. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about organization. So the good thing is you actually do have a thesis. In fact, right here, you talk about clean, safe, and honest as being important qualities. Now, secondly, you talk about each of these ideas in the first line of each paragraph. You talk about clean. You talk about this one. This is where I'm running into a little bit of trouble. You're saying follows the law. I think you want to say follows the law, but I don't know how that goes back to being safe. So I'm not quite sure how that second idea connects back. Then you have the next one is you have living is bag crime. In my opening, I can't. So here, I think you're trying to say here you're having a lot of problems with your word choice. You're talking about lying, right? So I would probably start off and say the last important quality in a good roommate is honesty. And then get into I cannot tolerate someone who lies. So that's probably what you want to do there. So I think with your body paragraphs, where is it? The body paragraph number 3 and number 4, they can probably better connect back to your thesis. So you can work a little bit more on those topic sentences there. Now the next thing, we want to take a look at the details that you're using. So in each paragraph, in this second paragraph, you say, if my roommate was careless about taking care of the place, not potting their staffs in place, not cleaning after their self. So you want to give some examples there specifically. What if they leave their clothes on the floor, or they're not putting their dishes in the sink in the kitchen? So I think you have to have more specific detail in this paragraph in order to better support the ideas that you're trying to say. Now in the next paragraph, you're talking about the roommate must be a person how follows the law. To live in wet someone how break the law can drag me to tribe. One, for example, a person who do drags, smoke legal cigarettes, drinks a lot. Okay, so you're trying to give some examples there to show how it's important that someone follows the law. So what you can do is, if you go back to your thesis, instead of saying safe, you probably want to say lawful. You know, he or she must be clean, lawful, and honest. Lawful, L-A-W-F-U-L, that I think better expresses what you're trying to say in that particular paragraph. Let's go to your final paragraph. You have, I neither thing that I cannot tolerate. Living is bag crime. In my opening, I can't tolerate ling ever. I used to have a fine then after. So I think you're trying to give the example about how you don't want someone who tells a lie. You have, but still, folly one's shims on you, fool me, twine shame on me. Honesty is the most important feature in a roommate. So I know you're trying to express a saying there, but I would give a specific example of some situation that you would not like about your friend or about your roommate, right? So I think you need a more specific example there. So overall, I think your organization's pretty good, but I think you can make some improvements in the examples you're using to help support your generalizations. So The other thing I'd recommend is you're having quite a few word choice problems, and I think part of it is you're actually you're using spell check, and spell check is changing some of the words that you have in the essay, but it's words that don't fit within the context of your writing. Okay, so let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So every paragraph has literally dozens of problems with word choice, but let me just point out one example. So you have many students have to live with roommates while going to a school or university. Now this particular sentence is, the problem is you have copied exactly this particular sentence from the topic, so you don't want to do that. You want to rephrase, use different grammar, different vocabulary when you do that. But you did write that one. That's grammatically correct, but unfortunately you plagiarized that from the topic itself. Let's go to the next sentence. You say living with a roommate is, you want to say here convenient, not covenant. This is a word you're looking for. Is convenient in several ways. So you have financially, safety, and avoiding being lonely. I think here's what you want to say here. You want to say avoiding being lonely, but the other problem here is you have financially, which is an adverb, you have safety, which is a noun, and then you have a gerund, which is your third point, but all these things are not parallel. So you have living with a roommate is, so we might say here is convenient. Probably get rid of this. Just use the adjective here. Then we can say is convenient. Financially. How about is safer? How about use verbs, and that'll probably work. And then maybe you can say something like this. So now you say living with a roommate is convenient financially, is safer, and helps one avoid being lonely. Now we have is plus adjective, convenient. We have is plus safer, which is an adjective, and then you have another verb, which is helps one avoid being lonely. So let's read it together now. Living with a roommate is convenient financially, is safer, and helps one avoid being lonely. It also can be, and you want to say this, annoying in some cases. Now what I would do here, because this is a different idea from the previous idea, you need to use a transition word that will show a contrast. So then you'll say this. However, it can also be annoying in some cases. So when the roomiest, you don't want to say that. You're saying roommate, right? This is what we're talking about. When the roommate is as captive as they should be, Yeah, what you're trying to say, though, it just doesn't really work, I'll be honest with you. Say when a roommate is as captive as they should be, you have a period there. That's a fragment, but I know what you're saying, but your grammar and your vocabulary is not allowing you to say this. In this case, we have... let me see if I can figure this out. So let's say something like this. Since students will have to live with their roommates for a long time in a relatively small living space, then you can say something like this. And I think, like I said, you probably don't want to say safe here. I'm going to say this. This is probably the word that you're looking for. So, since students will have to live with their roommates for a long time in a relatively small living space, they should choose roommates who are clean, lawful, and honest. Then you might say, these are the most important qualities here. Now, I'm not going to correct every paragraph, but I wanted to go over just this particular paragraph to give you an idea of some of the problems that you're having with your writing. So in this case, many students have to live with roommates while going to school or university. Living with a roommate is convenient, financially is safer, and helps one avoid being lonely. However, it can also be annoying in some cases. Since students will have to live with their roommates for a long time in a relatively small living space, they should choose roommates who are clean, lawful, and honest. These are the most important qualities. So this is your introduction, right? So what I did is I tried to solve your sentence structure problems, your word choice problems, some of your vocabulary issues, and write it in a way that was more understandable than how you've written it. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to give you a score right now. Now for the TOEFL and for academic writing, this essay is not going to score very high, I'll be honest with you. So you're not going to score in the 5 range. You won't score in the 4 range. You're not going to score in the 3 range. Let's take a look at the 2 range. You have here a large number of errors in sentence structure and or usage, numerous problems with inappropriate word choice or word forms, inappropriate or lack of details, examples, and explanations, inadequate organization, limited development. I can say yes, 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 yes. Now, will you score higher than that, lower than that? Let me take a look at the 2 areas. Serious and frequent errors in sentence structure usage, inappropriate or insufficient explanations, examples, or details to support your generalizations, inadequate organization, limited development. So I'm going to say right now, you'll probably score in the 1 range, I'll be honest with you. You have a lot of errors in your sentence structure, your word choice. The problem is you'll take a word, your spell check is doing this, you change the word. For example, the word that I pointed out here. This first word is, you use the word here covenant instead of convenient. These are totally different words with different meanings. Or you also had trouble with the word annoying. You had trouble with the word lawful. You use safe or safer instead of lawful. The problem is the words that you choose it makes it difficult for the reader to understand what you're saying. So that's kind of a fundamental problem with vocabulary that you really have to solve if you want to improve your writing proficiency. All right, so your score here, I'm going to put you at 1.0 out of 5 or 8 points out of 30 on this particular writing task. So my recommendations for you right now, in my online TOEFL course, you might want to write these things down. I think that the main thing for you is you have to start with vocabulary. This seems to be one of your larger issues. So if you can improve your vocabulary, that means that you will be able to choose the more appropriate words in your writing to communicate your ideas. So I recommend vocabulary lesson number 3. I think that's a great first lesson for you that's going to help build your vocabulary. When you do that and finish that, that's about 20 chapters. You'll learn approximately 200 words. I also recommend vocabulary lesson number 4, number 5, and also number 6. Now, it's going to take some time to learn those words, but trust me, in the long run, you will thank me because you will be able to improve your vocabulary and your word choice, and you won't have the limitations that you're having right now with your writing. Now, secondly, you also want to improve your grammar proficiency. So I'd recommend my vocabulary lessons number 1, 2, 3, 4, and also vocabulary grammar lesson number 7. That's also going to be very important for you in terms of helping you improve your writing proficiency. All right, so again, your score here is 1.0 out of 5 or 8 points out of 30.